Good evening. Let's start. Thank you for being here tonight. I am more than pleased to introduce to you my colleague from Barcelona, Miguel Roldan. I feel fortunate to have him here to share with us not only the excellent architecture by his firm, Roldan that he has shared for more than many years with her partner, Marcel Berenguer, but more than that, to share with us his personal approach to design and what I believe is a wise and broad glance into education and profession. Know that his point of view is going to be revealing, coming from someone who has combined practice and teaching, and a teaching that bridges academic worlds in 3 different continents. As Miguel's leaders, the Barcelona Architecture Center, which hosts in Barcelona architecture students from different schools in the US, and as he was commenting to me yesterday, more recently from Japan. Roldan has taught and has taught at and with students from Texas A&M University, Clemson University, Roger Williams University, Penn State University, ITESM, and University of Monterrey, Unitec in Honduras, and different universities in Tokyo. Many years ago, Miguel Roldan also happened to be my professor of mine in the Master in Landscape Architecture, where I remember him as an inspiring and inquisitive professor, always inquiring and pushing students to go beyond the obvious, to look and ask, to go to the root, to the quid of the question, to be faithful to an inspiration, a dream, or a desire, but to still be precise. I have always admired his skills to bring the best from each student, to help set free their creativity and make them understand that design has to come from your own, this is a Spanish expression, from your own gutter, stomach, in order to be fresh, to be true, as he does. Not forgetting that designing is fun. After that, our paths have crossed in different times and ways in the Landscape Research Center, led by Rosa Barba, a pioneer in the education of landscape in our country, at the city, in different committees, and at different academic scenarios, at the UPC and at the BAC, where he first asked me to teach to American students. I hope that my skills in communication in English have improved a little bit since 15 years ago. Roldan's Berenguer professional work, since they founded their firm in 1988, has been fully published and awarded. And now I was asking him, just give me just 3 awards that you want me to mention, because I looked at the website and I counted 81. So I'm not going to read all these awards. You can just go there and look for them. But the office building that he's going to show to us tonight has been awarded as the best office building in Europe this year. Besides that, he has won FAT design awards as well. Some of his work has been Mies van der Rohe Prize and finalist in 2003, 81. So you can go and just check them. He also has become recently, in 2015, member of Royal Institute of British Architects. Roldan and Berenguer architecture will see is attentive to the place, but not submissive to it. Their interventions do not pretend to be contextual. Instead, they clearly talk about change, about adding complex but light layers of relationships to the site. To them, architecture reveals, but also sets and provokes new subtle relationships inside, as catalyzer of future processes that architecture can generate. They understand architecture, using their own words, not as objects, but as pieces of a larger system, pieces that mean and imply readjustments, as mediator between us and place. In their buildings, collective space is crucial, as this is space that transits in between private and public space. So my seminar students have to be really attentive. And their architecture is open in the sense that participates and activates public space. Some of you know I talk a lot about this in-between space, but the title of the lecture is not really in between, but go between. So I'm really curious about what is all going to be about. So please enjoy Roldan Berenguer architecture and join me in welcoming Miguel Roldan.
So it was closer to cry. It's very difficult now to keep on with the explanations since you have summarized so well. That was really not an introduction but an article. So thank you very much Sarah and all the staff of the lecture series committee in University to invite me and to make me fly to be with you tonight. Thank you everyone for reserving this time to be with you, to share this experience with you. So my first question when Sarah suggested me to come was what kind of lecture the students would prefer. If something more focused in the direction of the practices of the architecture, the profession, or something that would be from the point of view of the academia. Sarah, as always, the student that has been with her knows perfectly she wants everything. And so I will. So I'm going to try to combine from both perspectives, which is our approach to the teaching of architecture and our approach to the practicing of architecture. Because in fact, both of them are the two sides of the same coin. Okay, so my lecture would be divided. Let me describe a little bit which would be the index of the explanation. I'm going to explain you both platforms, which are what we do in our office and in our school. I'm going to tell you about 6 or 5 of the last project we have been working with. Some of them are built and others are not, and probably some of them better if they are not. From this bunch of 6 projects, I'm going to select a couple of them, and I'm going to the one of the 2 of them that are built, and we are going to make a more detailed explanation would be more closer to the object itself and the ideas that have generated the design decisions that are behind all these buildings. Okay, let's start with this slide where I am trying to explain what we do. And what we do has 2 legs. The one on the left is R&B, which is this professional practice. You can have there, you can read there some data. I'm not so interested in the quantities, but more in the qualities, obviously, from both descriptions, in both columns. As mainly the practice of architecture in all Europe, I have to say that fortunately, still we can be architect and at the same time understanding that the scales of our work implies from the industrial design to the territorial design. So as architect in Europe, still we can do works that implies millimeters and centimeters of designing to spaces and decisions that implies kilometers. So the multiple scale subject is something that is not my privilege, but the privilege of certain architecture that is produced in Europe. Also the mixed programs and the mix of disciplines. things, you know. So most of our program, we have still the opportunity to work from schools to offices to housing to different sizes and programs, all combined, both of them, without the need to be specialized as architects, you know, which is a disadvantage sometimes, but we enjoy very much because in a certain sense, and you will understand perfectly, it's an advantage. It lets you to try and to invent and to create, not submitted just to one program, but the diversity of the program that involves, you know, the creation of the city of the human kind concept. You know. So I said multi-scale, I said multi-program, and I said multidisciplinary project. So basically, we do not work ever alone, we work with other teams, not because the size of our offices are very big, but we cannot compare the dimensions of anything in Spain related with the United States in any sense, you know. So we tend to be smaller, 5, 6 architects, but we used to develop all this project in collaboration with other disciplines, which makes the things be richer since we approach the design from the perspective of different groups. This is the left hand or the right hand, depending on the point of view of our practice. But the more important thing is that this is not happening alone. This is happening together with the other counterpart of this activity, which is the academia. You know? So basically, this kind of 17 or 18 years ago, I created this Barcelona Architecture Center. Barcelona Architecture Center is a platform that hosts the broad stage program from different North American, as Sarah was commenting also, a bunch of more than 30 Japanese universities. So basically this platform prepared, in collaboration with these universities, and a broad program in Barcelona. I like to say in Europe, you know, because Barcelona is no more than the landing point of something that became a European experience. So in these 18 years, more than 1,800 students from North America and Japan has come to study with us. And with this fantastic summary of these experiences that we think in a small percentage that they are contributing to make even better the universities, the mother universities where they come from. Obviously, when these students come to Barcelona, we are not telling them and teaching them how to do things, because we know how to do things in Europe, but we will never survive in the United States, you know. So they know better than us how to proceed here, you know. But we try to show them that there are other options, that there are other realities, that there are other possibilities, in any sense, in the scale you work, in the density you manage, in the way you invent the program, in the way you have the relationship with the clients, in the technology, in the materiality. We tend to show them that there are another points of view, which is the intention of this. The intention of this is that they understand that to have more than one option, more than one perspective, and to keep their eyes open to other realities is the base of the future of our profession. So the intention of this, for months that the students are in Europe, intensively studying with us, but also traveling a lot with these tutorized trips in the Netherlands and in Madrid and all over Spain and in other destinations, has the intention to make them more flexible, you know, and to prepare them to answer other realities that are not the one that maybe you have known by now. Okay, what is the good subject of both legs? That became one. You know? So the more important subject of these two columns is what happens at the center. You know? So this is continuous arrow, which implies that the subject that are the philosophy of the practice became something that influenced the teaching of architecture, and subjects and themes that are researched in the VAC became part of our own practice. Just let me give you an example to do not extend my speech in the first slide and leave the auditorium in 2 hours. All our practice is based on competitions. So we are architects at our office, as in Europe used to be. The only way to get commissions is by entering in competitions. So most of our clients are, 90% of our clients are public clients, from any level, local, regional, national, and international public sector. So the way we get work is we enter in a competition, we are selected, sometimes in a first round, sometimes in 2 rounds, and we are selected, we enter, and we win. And I have to confess that we win frequently, which is very good. So this is something that we export from the academic, from the profession to the academic. So just to give you an example, we teach the students how to think from the point of view of a competition. We are not teaching them how to compete. We are teaching them how, through the formula of the competition, being able to summarize the idea, to present the idea, and obviously to to hierarchize which are the main subject and how to translate the main subject. So this is an example of how things work in this kind of cycle of relationship between the practice and the stage in Barcelona. Some of the things that I am going to say, probably, I'm sure, I have to confess, would be better understood if you read them, as I read them. So these are a couple of books that I would like to recommend you. You will find both of them in English, there will be no problem. One is this Liquid Life from this Polish philosopher Sigmund Bauman. Let me not to summarize and extend my explanation about what it means, but I think that in fact he's describing something very simple, the predictability that were the context that our parents knew, life was something very similar to a book. There are chapters, and then you start at one chapter, and probably you know which is the next chapter in your life, are not like this nowadays. So the sense of our times are not the fixed things, the things that are predicted, but the things that constantly change. So maybe you have listened that kind of advice from your grandfathers or grandparents saying, okay, to survive, you need to know how to move, and you need to know how to resist, and you need to know how to walk, So probably nowadays you need to know how to swim and how to dive, because if not, you will not survive. So the context has this unpredictability that the only way to confront this is to know how to change constantly with flexibility your position. So in a certain way, if you go with your memory back to my previous slides, students from Japan, students from North America that come, and from Mexico also, that comes to Barcelona, in a certain sense, I could say in another way, we teach them to doubt. To doubt that the only solution or the only answer for the questions are just one. Because that doubt can give them the opportunity to react in front of this liquid life in a more efficient way. This book from Czech sociologist and philosopher Flusser, you will find also in English, Gestures, and it explains very well which is the attitude of which is behind the actions of an architect when we design. So not the tools, not the processes, but the deep meaning of what design improves. Everything that I will say in between the lines, in between the project that I am going to make a longer explanation are based on the reading of these philosophers, which position my profession not from the technical point of view, but they locate my profession, our profession, in the context of our times. Please interrupt me if there are some notes, because I am more interested in your question than not in my own speech, that I have listened myself a lot of times, so, you know. Okay, let's start a little bit quickly with 5 projects. You will find enough documentation if you are interested in my webpage. So, it's not that I want to capture your attention, but I want just to show you which is behind the facts, the building, the interior, the renovation, the landscape that you can follow in the web page, because the more important subject maybe are not the final result, but what is on the right of the image is a small collection of few references that sometimes appear at the beginning of the project and sometimes appear at the end of the project and became the research concepts that the project had give us the opportunity to study. You know, this is so I will mention just 6 of this project. This is one, the renovation of a Baroque church in the middle of Catalonia, in Vic. For the students of Barcelona that are here, they know perfectly the site. So this is the renovation of a church. You can see this is a photo of the ceiling from the ground. That was a church that was closed during a lot of years. It's a desacralized church. So supposedly it has to be converted into a social center. Difficult when you have a building with this kind of paintings and all these heritage, artistic heritage that has to be protected. So it's difficult to adopt a program where things can happen in a more informal way, you know, people meeting, people dancing, people eating, people presenting a lecture, people making a rock concert, you know, so that kind of subject. You know, well, in this first image, you can see our interest in this project was to study artificial light. All the project that you will see if you are interested in the web page, you know, you can follow, you know, the details of this intervention. But we discovered something which is very, very easy to understand. For us, was very intriguing to discover, which is that obviously the light always belongs to the sides. No? So there is not the same light here that on the south of the United States or the other coast, you know. Happens the same in all Europe, you know. So you have at the north of Spain the black light, so the light always is gray. At the center of Spain sometimes the light is black, you know. And at the north of Europe during the summertime, sometimes the light is milky. So we work in this project with this different atmosphere, you know, understanding that the light could be something that is as a strong material for defining the space as the other materials like concrete, brick, wood, or textiles, or whatever. This is the interior of the church. There are a lot of details that I would like to explain to you, because we will laugh a lot, but maybe another time just it's better to jump from one subject to the other. Second project. This is a social housing building in Strasbourg. The first one was a competition that we won. This was a competition that we don't, you know, basically because we were no French. That is a very important subject, you know. So I do not know where they don't tell us at the beginning that we have to become French if we want to do it. Okay, in any case. Okay, so that was in Strasbourg. It was a social tower closer to the canal. So we were searching about what can give really to this project the asserting essence of the site. Or in another way to wonder the question, to write down the question. What was the nature of a site in Strasbourg closer to the canal? Fortunately, we found this, we knew, because all this information is when you do a project, and you know perfectly as designers, what you do is you combine in another way material that is available for you, you know. So most of the material that you combine are here, you know. So it's the way to hierarchize and to order this material that gives you the clues to develop the project. So Monet, which was a French painter, was the first one that said, when we paint, what we paint are not voids and plenties, you know, are not figures. When we paint, what we do is we transpass, we put into the light. So what we do by painting is translating light into a flat surface. That's why he was painting the Cathedral of Rouen. I think there were 37 paintings of the same cathedral. You know? So what was the subject? The cathedral, from all the painters previous to Monet, were the same one. You know? But he insisted in the process of portraying this building, because in any minute, depending if it was springtime or fall, at the afternoon or at the early morning, raining or snowing, the subject will change. So the first one that said the way to paint something is not define a line, a contour, but painting the effect of the light in order to transmit what it is. So in this project of here, that was the work we did. We were wondering if it would be possible to design a 15 stories high apartment for public housing, you know, and wondering about if the appearance of this, if the shape of this could be not defined by a perimeter, by the tectonicity of the building, but the way we will manipulate the light. In fact, this is very small, but you can see here, we design pieces, colored pieces of ceramic, which were treated in an imperfect way. You know? So they were not flat. They had some small bubbles, 1 millimeter. You know, they were big pieces. So we test some models. So the result of these imperfect pieces of ceramic, glossy ceramic, was that depending on the light, the direction of the light and the grain, but not only of this, depending on the imperfection of any one of the pieces, the tower could become very present or could be completely blue in the color of the sky. So that was the intention of our project. That's what we did. We got the second award, and the reason of the second award, as the jury told me, was exactly what that was. Okay. Third project, and I will be faster with this because I'm going to explain with detail later. This project of here is again a housing social tower in Hospitalet, very close to Barcelona. Later I will explain you with more details, but basically, which was the
the inspiration of this project, again a competition. That time we won. What you see on the right is not a render, it's the building itself. What inspired us was a certain understanding of what scale means for architects. No? When you use an scale to define something, no, it's a tool. No? So the 1 to 100, the 1 to 200, the 1 to 1, the 1 to 5, the 1 to 500, the 1 to 5 million, whatever. Are scale, are tool for us. But a scale is also a concept that implies the precision and the quantity of information that has a certain document. So something that is 1 to 1 means that it has all the information. It's like it was real. Something that is 1 to 500 means that it's so small and the precision of the information is not so important. If you transfer this concept of the scale into the cinema language, what you have is this. What you have are what we call a scale, they call planes. So this is a long plane, this is a short plane, and this is the first plane. So in any one of them is contained a kind of information. This is a John 4 film, I am saying because you do not think that all my references are European, some of them are North American. I have my own heroes also here. Okay? So this is your 4, and your 4 was teaching this kind of, with cinematographic language, things that you can explain with different planes. Okay. I think this is the fourth project. This is another one that they will extend, also there. But again, the more important is the thing on the left. This is again a North American reference. He is Richard Foreman. He is a biologist. You will observe that there will be no architect on the right in any one of my projects, because I don't know, my food comes from not necessarily the work of an architect, but the work from people that I can translate their knowledge into architecture. This person, Foreman, wrote this series of books searching about what a concept that he invented was the ecotone. The ecotone is the explanation of how the ecosystem works in the planet. So just to summarize, in my age when I was in the school, they teach me that when you have an ecosystem, so here where was the elephant, and here were the North Pole, and there were things that were separate. Richard Foreman was teaching us that things are never happening that way. Things are usually happening that way. So things overlap. And it's in the overlapping of this ecosystem where the health of both different contexts can work. It's the flexibility of the in-between that guarantees the health of both extremes. So I think that there is a lot of this learning that could be translated into architecture. If we divide, if we separate things, if something is an exterior, something is an interior, and there is not the option of the overlapping, the health of both extremes will never survive. So I will try to portray and to give details about this speech, explaining the project of the Economist headquarters in Barcelona, a building that we finished 1 year and a half ago, which is this one. Last two ones, go quickly. This is a building that is under construction nowadays. Barcelona is a museum for the firemen. The museum was a structure of the 19th century. It was the typology of a U, with the center you have the cars of the firemen. And we were searching about the transformation of one of the walls into something that was lighter. So in that case, our research was about the weight in architecture. So the wave, you know, things could be that way, the other, you know, which implies transparency, opacity, but it implies also a way to observe things, you know. So we were inspired in this research in again a North American engineer, Larry Collet, who was the engineer that works with Louis Kahn in most of their projects, you know. So he has a beautiful book where he explained that the base of the resistance of the bones of the human beings are the holes. So we resist, our bones are so resistant, not because the material is very strong, but because the disposition of the holes, the void, the nothing, in between the fibers, as the photo is showing, it was guaranteed the hyper-resistant for so light material. So we were working with this project in the set. So we transformed this wall, which was a brick wall, into really a curtain wall. So these are columns of 8 centimeter by 12 centimeter. So this is very small pieces that keeps the structure of the 3 flats that are here. So this is the construction and the opening in 12 months and a half. The last project very quickly. This is a very extravagant project that, well, in fact it was not a project, it was also a competition that was organized by the regional government. So this is something that maybe you will not be aware, but people from Barcelona, I'm sure they know what I am talking about. These are the Eurovegas. The Eurovegas is that this very rich, extremely rich person from North American person from Las Vegas, Sheldon Adelson, came to Europe and he said that he wanted to open a new Las Vegas street in Europe, you know? So he was searching and finally he decided that there would be 2 options, one in Madrid and the other in Barcelona. So very intelligent, same 2, they made us compete between us. What was very interesting is that the Madrid government considered that the reclamation of Sheldon Adelson was a real estate subject, you know. So he was asking for a big parcel, huge parcel, you know, and so they tried to solve and to offer them a real estate subject, you know. In the case of Barcelona, it was organized in another way, and I think it's part of our culture, you know. The government organized a very secret competition. So in fact, I am explaining this because I am not in Europe, you know. So nobody knows about these images in Europe. No? Sarah knows perfectly. You know? Okay, so the subject is that the government organized a very secret and private competition to understand what was Sheldon Adelson asking for. So in fact, the material, the 2 slides I'm going to show you here are not projects, are testing documents to understand which is the dimension and the impact of what he wanted, and which were the limits. And if involved with these requirements, which were crazy, you know, there was something good, you know, and some opportunities behind this. That was the subject. So Madrid was asking for a real estate subject, you know, and Barcelona consult their architects. I was the winner of this micro competition in order to advise the regional government if this person was crazy, completely crazy, or very dangerous crazy. Okay, that was the material, just to give you a sense of what Sheldon Adelson was asking for Barcelona, was demanding. It was to buy a parcel of 10 kilometers at the center of Barcelona. No? So the dimension, this is the dimension of the diagonal, and you know the dimension of this extension was at the 10 kilometers. No? So that was huge. In fact, what you see here, you know, what you see here is, again, I'm telling you, this is not a project, this is a testing document, you know, which is also the meaning of a project. So a design is not only something that you do to build, but it's something that you do to project the reality into the future and to test the limit of this reality. This is what a project means, right? So in between other documents, to show Sheldon Adelson, so the meeting with Sheldon Adelson was very interesting because it was a long table with the president of the government on one side and the ministers, and on the other side was Sheldon Adelson, the bodyguards, and all these kind of subjects, the Las Vegas bodyguards. And then we were at the top of the table saying, I want to say something. Okay. So we explain that kind of, we make that kind of documents. This is the European hotels. No? So they are small, low hotel, low density, and very small. If you go to Asia, these are the hotels. No? And if you go to Las Vegas, these are the hotels. No? So what was the intention of this document? And like these documents, there were 20 other ones. Which were the intention of these documents? It's impossible to translate this into this context. But can you understand, children? It cannot be done, well, obviously he understood perfectly that it would be a little bit strange, but for him there was a second reading of the document, that the biggest one of these were the one that he was the owner, So they were not only the Las Vegas, the biggest one, but the biggest one of the Las Vegas were he. So that was a fantastic science. This is by the way. Any one of the Catalan students know which is this building? That one up here? No. This is a hotel that Gaudí designed for New York. Fantastic, eh? Okay. Let's go to the third part of the explanation. Right? I have been in the explaining the academic and the profession. I have given you a small index of different projects we have worked in our studio. Let's enter in the description of two projects with one theme that may join both projects, which can be understood very easily with this title. So are the scales something which is fixed? Are buildings different than cities? Or are cities different than buildings? Or are again this concept that could be understood as something that overlap? Domains, scales, materials, agendas that overlap. So when we are designing a building, are we designing something that is in and not necessarily something is out, or in between of all of them? Let me try to demonstrate that there are the option of attending both these courses when we have in front of us a question that could be understood are in both extremes. Let me summarize that what public space means in Barcelona. Because we have the privilege of, in our office, have worked in different ways to understand public space in our city. Some of the public space come from public housing policies. When we design public housing, we can incorporate, because as architects we believe, public concept inside. When we reuse an old building, we do this also. And when we receive the commission through a competition of a civic society commitment, we do also. So I'm going to teach you the project that belongs to this level and this level, and I'll try to demonstrate you that the understanding of the scale is something which is quite flexible. I'm going to focus my attention to this couple of projects, leaving the last one to the next occasion I will visit you. Okay, so this is again, let me recover the Foreman discourse. Foreman was saying, okay, two ecosystems never happens that way. The ecosystem happens overlapping. There is always a frontier that belongs to both of them. And at the same time, this is something that are flexible, depending in the geographical and biological description he has, attending to the climate, the circumstances, the raining, or whatever, this territory in between these two ecosystems can move. Can be smaller, or expanded, contract, whatever. I translate this into our domain assignment. So I think that the saying that in between me and the others, there is always the opportunity to share things, Also when we work as architects, in between the domain of the private and the public, there are the opportunity of the collective. So a way to understand that these concepts are separate, follow that diagram, and I strongly believe that we have worked in this direction. If instead of the domains, we talk about the instruments, we can apply the same sentence. If we understand that in any one of these, when we talk about scales, materials, technologies, budgets, we treat separately. What we have is this. If we understand that both systems could be combined, we understand that the scale, grammar, vocabulary, technology, or materiality can be combined. So in a certain way, what I am saying is, when I design a building, I'm sometimes using the vocabulary of the urban design. And when I am designing a park, sometimes I am using materials, technologies, budgets, concepts, and vocabulary that belongs to the architecture itself. And the understanding of this mixing of concepts, not messing of concepts, but mixing of concepts, is the richness of what I think is the architecture that we have to practice nowadays. Any question? No? Not overwhelming? No. Okay. This is Barcelona, a great photo of Barcelona. This is Gran Via. This is Gran Via. So some years ago, there was a policy in the municipality of Barcelona which is called a program of new centralities. New centralities means that the dimension of the city were approaching a metropolitan scale. So the metropolitan scale was reclaiming that the center was not 1 or 2 or 3, the city, but we had the opportunity to explore points, hubs of centrality with other contents, other interests in another corners of the city. That was one. That was Plaza de Europa, Europe Plaza. That was one. So the center of the city is a little bit far away, a couple of kilometers on the right where my hand is, and that was a kind of intermediate point between the airport and the historical center of the city. The content of this new center was, and is part also of the mentality of Barcelona. Here has to happen from affordable social housing for low-income people to hotels of 5 stars, from offices to social centers, from schools to luxuries headquarters of some companies. So everything mixed. Why? Because we think that is in the mixing and the multiplicity of programs, scales, dimension, and density, where is the base of the health of the city. So we did this way also here. Obviously, you have to understand that I did not receive the condition for the luxury hotel. It was a social low-income house. Okay, let me explain what is Gran Via. Gran Via is a sequence, is what we call literal streets. This is the sea, and these are the mountains, and these are one river and another river. This is the definition of Barcelona. So if you come to Barcelona with this, you can navigate, because basically everything is on the right or on the left or up or down. And with this, you do not need anything, And 2 days after arriving in Barcelona, you smell it, you are to the right or to the left, and you can navigate perfectly. So, so these are a littoral city, a littoral street that crosses the city, you know, so goes from one river to the other river and extends to the airport also. So this is the conventional way that we understand this city. So if we want to cross the city with a middle speed, this is the way we do. If we have a high speed, we do it another way, but with a middle speed, this is. So this is still a street. This is not a road. The road starts to start here. You know? Okay. So there is a second way to understand this street, which is the sequence of different plazas. You know. So because the construction of Barcelona, the construction of the city has been a chapter event, you know. So you can have here different modalities of what a urban center, a urban plaza means. You know. So you have here a plaza with the university old building, the first university in Barcelona, or you have here a plaza with the buildings giving the shape of the round structure, or you have here the Tetuán, which is the plaza with a square in the center with a monument, you know. So when they decide to establish a new centrality in this area, that was based on a model not very common in Barcelona, which was a kind of downtown subject, you know. So instead of being based on the Mediterranean classical urban vocabulary, which is the street, the plaza, the facade, the building, the uniform, the section, the monument, whatever, that is based in the collection of towers sprawled around what we call a campus, you know. So the density is exactly the same one that at the center, which is very high, you know. But in this space of here, the buildings became isolated pieces. Okay, this I told you I earn my money and I earn my commission by competition. So these are the three partners of a competition. This is what we submit in an office for a competition. We never do a competition with more than 1 week, because it's like the food, you know. If you cook too much, it has to be fresh, you know. So don't overcook. Don't overcook never. You know? It's better to keep the essence and the flavor, you know. So if you fry, you know, at the end. So when you work in design, it's exactly the same. More than 1 week is fried. You know, no, it has to be like bread. You know? So this is the way we work. No? We discuss the idea, and in 1 week we have to be able to visualize in the way that the jury will capture what you want to say. If you are competing with 30 other teams, more or less the jury will spend in your panel less than 2 seconds. So if you cannot transmit what you want in 2 seconds, you are fried. You know? So this is what we do. Okay, so in fact, and this is another secret of our office, but it's not a secret because I am sure most of you work the same way. We never do the images at the end. We do the images at the beginning. You know? So we do this image, we did this image, we did this image, and we did this image, you know? And later, we do the plans. Of course, you know? Why? Because the plans and the technical drawings, the more or less technical drawings, are the one that decipher the information in order to be transmitted and to be understood. But I'm sure that people can read better that, you know? So, when we are working in a competition, what we do when we talk in between the people of my office? What we do? We do this. What we talk is, do you remember this building from this architect? Yes, that one that we saw the other day. Yes, but I'm thinking that this building here, but not so tall, a little bit smaller, and it could be in red, you know, because, you know, that kind of thing. So what are we doing? We are managing images. We are editing images in a very powerful language, which is the verbal one. You know? This is what we do. We never say, my idea is a line from point A to point B, and then a square later to point C, and then never. If It's to slow, has to be higher speed, you know. So we try to be sincere with this. If we talk with this, we produce like this, you know. And later we will do the plans, you know. Right, in fact, if I have to confess, I do the images and my team do the plans, which are not, they are not so happy. Okay. Because sometimes the images do not fit with the plans. But they do not know. In a competition, they have no time to respond. When you have to build, any millimeter has to be controlled. In a competition, it's like like an stage. You know, you are designing a theater, a stage, and what happens behind? Nobody mind. You know, because in front is what mind. Behind are people sustaining the wall, there's the wall. So the competition is like this. You know, so you have to make them believe. Make them believe. Okay, so this is the information we provide. Just a few words to explain our project. As I was saying in the site of the Plaza Europa, there were towers at the center, luxury Jean Nouvel, hyper 5 stars, you know, with palm trees on the 20 stories high. The palm trees are all the time like this, you know, saying hello to the flight. And then obviously we cannot access to that kind of commission, so we are in the line of the social, which means in the corner of the site. So in fact, the corner of the site, what means? It means that was the neighborhood that exists in those days. That they were the neighborhoods of the contest were stories, buildings of 3 stories high, 4 stories high, what we call ground floor plus 4, that kind of texture, you know. So the city that surrounded the area was made out of this kind of material. But in fact, what they want, and it was the urban design of this area, are towers of 15 stories high. So how do you put together something that measures 15 with something that measures 5? It's very difficult, you know. So I'm sorry for explaining this like it was a joke, but it was a joke. You know. Well, the only way to say that 15 equals 5, if you say, well, 15 is like 5 times 3. That's all, you know. So if you make group of 3 5 times, it becomes 15. You know. So it looks like a stupid thing, but this is what we did. You know. So what we did was to produce an image that was explained to the jury, no? Because the jury was not paying attention to all this, just paying attention to the image. No? You can describe a building like this. You can describe a building like a story and a story and a story and a story and a story. A window, a window, a window, a window. You can describe it. No? All the towers could describe it. Or you can describe stories like a window and a story, a window and a story, a window, a window, a window. The only subject is that these windows are not a story, are 3 stories, you know, together. If you go closer, like with the cowboy, you know, you could see what it means. It means that the texture of the dimension of the tower is not made by 1 plus 1 plus 1 15 times. Is made by the grouping of the subject into something more intriguing, which is the unity of the 3 stories high. So the 3 stories high, with certain qualities that the windows are not on the first plane, but are on the second plane, can give a sense of a re-scaling the dimension of the building. Remember that I used the metaphor of the planes to remember the subject of the film vocabulary, you know. The planes can re-scale the reality, and the scale can re-scale the dimension of something. So I was trusting the jury could understand this, the jury can understand this, and the closer view of the cowboy, the jury can understand this, you know. And we got it. You know, they understood. You know? They understood so much that they told me, "You are the winner, but you will not build this building." Okay, a fantastic subject. So this is a paradox or what? You know? So, no, we have chosen the architect, but not the building. Why? Because this is social housing. Social housing, what does it mean? That if this person over here has a balcony, everyone has to have a balcony. No? If this person over here are looking at the right, that one cannot look at the left. You know? Okay, so necessarily it has to be like this, has to be equally distributed. Cannot imagine that the distribution would be on sets of 3. You know? So what? They told us we will not build with it. You know? Okay, let's explain you something about a concept that Sarah described very beautifully when we made this very polite introduction about my speech, which is the opportunities of a commission to make a building, which is housing low-income building, which is defined by give me 75 apartments of 40 square meters in a tower of 15 stories high that will not measure more than 24 by 24. That's all. You know? I'm sorry, the last detail. And has to be at the top of the building with 40 meters high. You know? With this, do what you want. Okay? Fantastic. That would be a huge opportunity for us. Because we start with this condition, remember, 70 apartments, 40, 60 square meters, 15 stories, 24 by 24, 40 meters tall. Okay, so we start by designing the building from up down. You don't say, you have to be 40, we start from 40 and with this. So we start to put all the apartments from up down. And then we arrive to the ground floor, we discover that they have a lot of air to dispose. We can dispose. No? So there was a huge volume on the ground floor that we can do other things. Because the 75 were living, and the 24 was there, and the 15 stories were there. So we start to work with this concept of here, which is the opportunity to include a space that is in between the privacy of the apartments and the publicness of the studio, creating a kind of corridor, the concept of an inner street that will cross the building from one corner to the other in order to host other kinds of activity like very young mothers and fathers with their kids working there in a micro space that will facilitate a higher level of security than being outside when there is raining or maybe there is too cold for the kids or whatever. And then we produce this space of here. So this is an in-between space. No? This is a communal space. A communal space. So I'm talking about the city when I do this, even if it's inside. This is the street. So in fact, the tower, you will see that these drones are not so far away from the competition. That took us 1 week. You know? So basically, the project, you will see in the upper level, are distributed in 2 towers. In fact, are 2 towers. You know? But on the ground floor, it changed the structure in this direction, because this is the position of the tower in relation with the street. So you can cross the building from one door to the other in a kind of inner corridor, which has benches and lights, like if it was a small platform. So from this order of here, you have the upper level, this order of here. So here they have the communication core and you have the apartments. Some of the apartments were divided, so all the inner constructions, the structure is dry construction, so you can disassemblage the walls and reassemblage in another way. The exterior walls are paper press. So these kind of 8 millimeters panels, 1 meter 80 by 4 meters long, 8 centimeters paper press. You know? So in fact, this is a ventilated facade, which is hanging, and isolated separate from the inner facade, and this is protecting from the climate, you know, and the extreme. This is the concept that we use to rescale the building into this kind of grouping of 3 elements. And the very simple law that we do, rotating the distribution of the windows and the position of the windows in order to produce all this diversity from a very basic genetic code of articulating the windows in relation to the rooms. So this is the thing. So we did. At the end we did. So it's very interesting because even if it's paper, it's coated with a certain metallic bright. So it makes that depending on the height, so this is the 3, 3, 3, 3, and 3, depending on the height, the materials has a different bright. You know? So something that here becomes gray, on the top level it became white, but in fact it's gray all over. This is the street, some drawings that we make for explaining to the builders the concept of the street that has to be. So as you can see, the building itself is very prefabricated, you know, so the panels, the windows were modulated, so they bring the set, the pack, and they install there, the same that on the ground. This is the street that crosses the building. So in order to give you a certain scale of this. In fact, there are only 3 materials, this paper press, and this is aluminium of the second regeneration. So in order to guarantee that the production of the aluminium is create very polluted atmosphere, you know, it's very expensive in that sense, but the advantage of the aluminium is that you can recycle infinitive times. So if you get that the material is not the first, but the second or the third regeneration of the aluminium is cheaper, and even is cheaper conceptually and cheaper in terms of money. So we force the builder to use only aluminium of the second generation. So this is a sense of the scale. This is some of the students that are making the internship in my office. You know, so they don't know, they are used to rescale the building. You know? So Mama, look what Miguel is making me do. You know, this is awesome. So you can see here, this is the same material, but depending, this is a painter, something that painters know perfectly, you know. Stupid, you put the same color and then it changes because the light. Okay, thank you. It was like this, you know, it's the same material, but in fact the tower is not homogeneous, you know, because the light of this 15-story high obviously affects. You know? So the quantity of shadows that happens here has nothing to do with the ones that are at the top. So this is a funny history because at the end, the client that in the competition, so 1.5 years before this told me, you win but you do not win. You know? You will win but you will never get this. Okay. So finally 1 year after came to the site. And they used to came, Sarah knows perfectly, the day before the politician will come. You know? In order to know that everything is side. So we were working with this client, you know, from this public sector, you know. We were working with this, and then he listened a very fantastic sentence. He said something very, very interesting. How are we going to explain this? You know? How are we going to explain it? Yes, because you know, it looks like expensive. Yes, but it's not. But look like, you know. So what do you mean? That it has to be ugly? I don't mean this, but something like this, you know. So it has not only to be austere, but look like austere, no? So I told him, it means that I have to marry an ugly woman? Necessarily? Or can I do something, you know, and it's paid, and the value was fixed, and I sold it. No problem like this. Yes, but I am not sure how I'm going to explain. Well, in fact, he was saying something completely wrong. This is a parquet that you can buy in the, how do you call this? In Barcelona we say the Tigre Depot. The cadena los tigres, the Tigre Depot. This is that kind of subject where you go to buy the parquet and they give you money if you live with the parquet, you know? It's so cheap, you know, that no, please live with the parquet. So this is this, you know, this is 6 euros a square meter. It's nothing, you know, nothing. What makes the special this parquet is not in the ground, it's on the wall, you know, but it's very cheap, you know. So he looked at this and he said, wow, this is luxurious. No, it's not, no. It's architect works. Yeah, that's all. So don't be worried. Okay, so this is 2 meters 20. The subject is, because you told me that I have to put the top of the building 40 meters high, so I have here 8 meters of air for me, you know, for the people who are there. Okay, let me pass quickly with the other. That happens this kind of sign, which are very beautiful. You know, so that kind of, you know that the human beings survive to anything, you know. So at the end, this kind of communities, and it happens, and we have photos of this, you know. So this person over here, maybe when he goes to the window, he discovers the neighborhood is there, and he asks for some sugar. Hey, do you have some eggs? I'm sure they do. But the communication happens in that kind of scale, which belongs to a bigger building, you know, but it can be hosed because the porosity of the building let that kind of common things happen. Even that side, you know, from two buildings, this communication, you know. These are very beautiful series of photos that a friend of us did, and then there is a lesson, you know. Most of our photos as architects, we used to make the photo of the object with nobody, you know, kind of things. But this is a friend of mine that sent us a small collection of 6 photos made from another building. So the subject is this, but the subject is in fact this, no? So how she looks to the building through the atmosphere of another building, no? So this is very beautiful. I enjoy very much. These are my favorite photos. So that was the space that would be very difficult to be explained. Not so much. No? So they have the bench, and they have, we call this the hairdress bench, because there are these kind of things that in the old dressing rooms, you know, you put your head to. So mothers are here, kids are there, or inside, and well, this is that casual kind of thing. So you have one door and the other, and the dimensions are not big enough, you see, because the scale of the person. But it is because the understanding of this space with this kind of mixing between the scale of the exterior, which demands a bench, and the scale of the interior, which demands the comfort of the wood, not real wood, you know, but the kind of things that at the end compose the space. And it works perfectly at night. One of the guarantee of the success of this is that the owners of this building keep the building like fantastic, you know. So they feel that kind of ownership of the site, which is a guarantee that we did well. You know. A small lesson, and I will jump to the other because Sarah interrupt me if I quickly. Sure. But you told me not to talk quickly. Okay. Okay. Not talking the Mediterranean way. Okay. So, well, this is a conceptual exercise that we did in our studio, and this is the kind of things that I used to do with my team when I work in the office with this. Okay, draw this project in the scale 1 to 25,000. Okay, I say draw one tower of 24 by 24 in a plan of kilometers, no? And obviously the face of the person is that will be a dot, right? You cannot draw something 24 by 24 in kilometers, no? But at the end they discover what was the trick, no? that the tower could be described, obviously, as any object, in a very different way. You can say, this project is a 24 by 24 tower. But if you still describe, not the tectonicity, not the geometry, but the effect, if you describe what happens when you are inside the tower and you look at the surroundings, and you draw this, you draw what you look from your bedroom, when you are in the first stories, or in the second three, or in the third, or in the fourth, or in the fifth. So obviously, every time that you go up, you go longer, because there are few buildings that are hiding you. So if you draw this, what is the draw? Is this. So these are the 5 different sets of the different levels, and these are the bubbles that describe the limits of the perspective that you have from inside to outside. What it describes this drawing is that you have more buildings here. So in the way you go up, you have not so distance, but in this way there, in this direction, every time that you go up with the building, the perspective increases. So this is the tower. So this is it. This is the drawing, the specific drawing that explains another way of understanding what we have done. What we have done is this. What we have done was this drawing. Very quickly. Second project, this is the economist project. I do not want to test the connection with the internet because maybe it will not work. This is a second competition. Second competition has been this is diagonal. So if you come to Barcelona together with different subjects that you will discover by yourself, and I do not want to know, but in terms of the street, Gran Via and Diagonal are the basic one. This is Diagonal. Okay? And this is a very beautiful street called Via Augusta. The Roman street Via Augusta. So in this small plaza here, there was a very old urban carousel. A urban carousel means that generations, everybody, Sarah maybe, Sarah also, or you went to this carousel, or your mother went, or your grandfather went. That was there was the memory of people was there. So economies, which is a sector in Barcelona, in Barcelona, the politicians are not lawyers, are economists most of the time, which is a problem. So this is a very important institution. So you have to know that in Barcelona there are two associations which are fundamental for understanding the culture of the city. One is the economists, and the other one are the Architects. The two institutions more important in Barcelona, economists and architects, and not in the order, the opposite. Architects and economists. Okay, so the headquarters of the architects is that, and it's a very important cultural hot point in the center of the city. So the economists organize a competition to have their own airport, which was in this area. So you have the carousel here. This is a street that divides to different neighborhoods. This is Gracia and this is Sarrià. You have a big church there and a high building there. So the carousel was abandoned like 5 or 6 years ago, and they organized a competition in 2 rounds. They select a group of 7 architects to make a proposal. So we passed the first round and we won the competition. This is the pre-existing set, this is the parcel. And this is the first building, the first drawing that we did for the competition. Which was, okay, let me explain the prologue of this drawing. So you have the plaza and you have the building. And what about if it's the same one? You mean that the plaza enters in the building? No, no, no. I am meaning something more radical, that the plaza folds in the building. No. So the building became the plaza. No. Could it be done? I don't know. We will try. This is the first proposal that we did. Second decision that we did for the competition, 1 week ago, which is, okay, we have here a subject of identity. So the economist wants to become a part of the city. That's because they are doing their activities in dispersed in Barcelona, in different sites, and they want an institution, a headquarters, in order to be invisible. So in a certain way, I'm sorry for the joke, but, well, visible means be transparent, to expose themselves, to make the other know what you are doing, something as simple as this. So the second decision was a kind of open question in order to decipher or discover if we were able to design a building based on glass, which is the best quality of the glass. Transparency is a very important one, but I would not say it's transparency. Transparency happens at night. Reflection. Reflection. Very good. Bruno Taut said years ago about you. Very good. Reflection. Reflection is a quality that the glass gives, Transparency happens at night, and it's very important. Most of the time, a building that is made out of glass became a reflective object. So we have a problem. Why we have a problem? Because then when we draw a building made out of glass, what we are drawing is the contour, not the building itself. If we are very dumb, and then we say, no, we draw the glasses and the window. Yes, yes. But people that will go there, what they will see would be what you have in your back. Silly, no? Okay. So we have to control the way we design in order to produce the reflection that we want to be reflected, And that goes aside, So here you have, I do not want to state my explanation, here was the 4 points, that explain the competition of our proposal. Here's what you have. That was the parcel of the carousel. So we said, instead of doing a building that follows this, what will happen if we produce a building, at least in the upper floor, that will square the platform? We will negotiate with the municipality that if we earn all this surface, we will take from the back, so we will build what we have to build, but giving a best shape to the contour of the plaza. Second concept was the facade of the building would be the platform. So what you will do would be incorporate to the subject. The third would be, the concept would be that instead of explaining a building as a succession of different uses, we will group the uses, So if you need an auditorium that needs to be height 5 meters, we will put this. If you need 2 classrooms for the continuous education, we will do. So no problem of the heights of the floors. We will design in relation with the program. The third decision, which was the implication of all this, in fact the parcel was very narrow. It was something that measured 30 meters by no more than 9. So this is a narrow space. So when you decide the distribution of a piece like this, 30 by 9, distribution, and you wonder how to put the rooms. The first decision is how to put the distributor of the room, how to put the corridor. Okay, when you have a space like this, so narrow, where do you put the corridor? 3 options. Where? First one, at the center. And then you can go on the right or the left. Why not? Too narrow. Okay? Second option, at the back. Clear, no? At the back. Why? because then every one of the room face the plaza, clear. So not on the front, no? On the front. We put the corridor on the front. Why we put the corridor on the front? Because it's where happens the exchange. It's where people are waiting for the classes. It's where people are waiting for the dean to have an interview. It's where people are waiting for the editorial lecture. So where is the activity that we want to show? Is what happens inside? It's something that probably will be darker with a curtain, or it's something that do not require so much climate control, like people waiting for the activities. And then we decided the corridor in front of the facade, the corridor 3 meters wide corridor on the facade of the building. This decision, which is this, and this became this, was the clue of the winning proposal. So this. So in this case of here, this is a diagram that pretend to be or intend to be a family of the tower one. So in that case of here, everything that was happening here became here because we put the corridor on the front facade. So this is a different concept of building, because a building which put in front facade the rooms implies that at night what you will see is the offices that are light on, right? Here, because we put the public spaces of the building on the front facade, it means that or they are light on or light off. They are not a pixelated facade. They are grouped. If the thing is working, never works. Here, if the continuous learning subjects is there, 2 or 3 stories. If the auditorium is open, that will be light on. Which is really how the building works. So the building, in fact, this is a sequence of difference. The building and the distribution of the plan, it works like a tatami, a Japanese house. There is the core, which is fixed, which is the staircase and the elevator, and everything is movable, And there is also another understanding, another reading of the building, which is what can be changed and what is fixed because it's public, which is the underground auditorium, the staircase, and the foyer. Foyers of the auditorium, this is the ground floor, so you have the ground floor here. This is the level of the platform. This is the entry, and then you have the auditorium, the 2 stories, and the dean offices. The staircase, and then the ground auditorium. So in fact, this artifact of the corridor, which is this here, became a small machine, because this is south facade and bad luck, the noisy one. So you have noise, you have sound. In Barcelona, you would be frightened, the sound going. So in fact, this is not a facade, this is a double facade. So double glass facade. The exterior glass is protecting from the rain, but it's open. The interior glass is protecting from the temperature, and it's closed. So in fact, what it means that the protection, the normal protection of a glass is divided into different layers. In the middle, you have a corridor to ventilate and to clean the glasses. So even later I will explain you that there is a printed screen on the glasses in order to prevent from the excess of the sun. You will see how transparent the building is depending on the hour, but in fact, because the size of the letter, you will see quite transparent. Even 60% of the glass is covered, is opaque. So this is the building. The building is the construction of the staircase and the foyer. The other are the offices. So this is the building set on their side. These are the plans. So this is on the ground floor. On the ground floor, there is a quite interesting way of entering the building, because there is a metro station there. You will see later some photos of the construction. So if any accident, if any unpredicted things could happen in a building, it happened in that one, you know? Because they decide, the municipality decide to change the train lines at the same time that we were building this. So basically, in the second month, it was like a castle. You know, it was in the middle of a huge hall surrounded. So we have to access to the building in an elevated platform, like a bridge, in order to arrive to the second construction. Because everything this was open. So I was describing that the entrance of the building is like this. So there is a small interior short street that goes inside the building. This is ground floor. This is first floor. So you see by the pattern of the tiles of the pavement that it looks like a tatami house, a Japanese house. So you have this direction, so everything can be changed. That could be incorporated into the auditorium. The only things that are fixed are the nucleus of the staircase. This is the staircase that is same to the ground level. So this is the auditorium, right? At night. These are some students from Texas A&M. Second floor. So this is the same core, and everything could be changed. Of course, if we have to study a glass building, we have to study, and the condition that we have, which is not based on the offices, here are not facing the offices, are the communal space, you know? So we have to design the way it would be lighted on at night. So that was the process of the design. You can see here, you know? So it was like a huge hall and a bridge that went to an elevated platform that was feeding the building. So it became like a castle in the middle of nothing, you know? Finally, so it was very funny because the underground auditorium was 1 meter far away of the train tracks. You know? So till the moment we built the auditorium, which is what we call box in box. You know, it's a floating auditorium inside. So every time that the metro was passing, the building was like a chicken. So you can make a hotel without moving. This is funny story. So you have here all this kind of violence and aggression, you know, and the workers. Where was the site the workers select to make a nap? That one. in the foyer, of course, you know. So they are here sleeping, you know, with the sun, with that kind of tranquility, fantastic, you know. This is nice. Okay, so this is the building nowadays. These are some photos from a couple of weeks ago. All the building is like, you could say, it's like monochrome, you know? It's black and white, you know? This is glass, opaque glass. In fact, the building has just one window, which is a huge window, which is this window. This is the unique window glass, you know? Which is the foyer. So everything has to fit with the same parts, you know? The rest are opaque. This is a ventilation of the auditorium, but there are not really windows here. So everything is fit from here. So that's why I was saying that the quality of this glass is not the permeability of the transparency, but the reflection. This impression of volume that you have here, so this is the 40 centimeters double glass curtain wall. So this is ventilated all around the perimeter. So it means that the air, the fresh air, pass here, could be controlling, could be closed, could be open, and this ventilator reflects the temperature of the inside. You know? So this is a very simple machine that increases 5 grades the temperature inside. So it could be cheaper controlling. So what I was saying is these are printings. These are serigraphy. So these printings are made in the outer side of the exterior wall in order to prevent the excess of sound. So in fact, it looks like it has a volume because there is, in fact, the texture of this is a text of the economists, masters, you know, some text of the new economy or whoever, you know, who wrote centuries ago. and this is made in positive and in negative. It means that here you cut from the letter, you make the print with the letters. And on the whiter, you make a print of not the letters, what remain in the page. Right? So the letters are cut, and here the letters are printed, And these are that way. Why that way? Because then the shadows that are produced let you to read and not to read. I will show you now. So this is the sequence. This is the sequence of the. So this is how the building works, which is not a pixelate at night. So it works that way. This is on the ground floor, and the auditorium is working. The rest of the building are light off. Or we have people attending classes. Or we have the dean there still working very late at night. All the building is all over. So here you could see a closer view of the curtains, which are made of letters, of text. So the letters that you can read perfectly here, that is the letter, the text, when they are with the shadows projected on the ground, you cannot read. But the other letters, which are on the other side, when they are projected on the ground, you can read. So this is the sequence. And this is a sequence in movement. So this is very beautiful. This is the way we did that the building would be rectangular. So this is the shape of the carousel, of the L carousel, and we fly here very radically. This is a cantilever of 3 meters. So this is a really serious subject. So in fact, all the foyers are hanging out the limit of the building. This is the inner corridor, the inner street. So you enter here and then you go parallel to the people outside to enter into the building. Everything outside is glass. Everything inside, when belongs to the public domain or the communal domain, is wood. The rest is white. The rest is panels, dry panels, and that's all. But the foyers all are in wood. But still being in wood, they work with the reflections. So you have here the pieces where they have the sign and the name of the room, and if this is occupied, and again this is a mirror. So when you are looking at if this is the room that you have to enter, you have the facade reflected there. You could see here how transparent the pieces are, even if 60% of the glass is opaque, because the dimension of the points or the dots are so small that you reconfigure the things that you cannot see. Your eyes reconstruct. What happens at night is that the glass became a mirror. And then when you transfer the foyer at night, they double the dimension. So you have here the double dimension overimposed with the exterior reality. This is the north courtyard that we printed the glasses in yellow in order to give a sun where it's impossible. This is the auditorium. This is fantastic because the last just 3 minutes more. I promise. All the previous photos, and then this is a subject that the architects know perfectly that you will find in your future. To have a good photos for an architect is really very difficult. So in my experience, I had arguments with any photographer I had worked with. So we started becoming very friends, and at the end, never we call each other. Never. And they are very expensive also. Okay, for me the best photo of the project, that one, which was made by a teenager of 40 years old, friend of mine. And this is fantastic. this is the building I wanted to do. This one, you know. This is a building which works with the reflection and is able, even being white and black and white, you know, is able to recall, because the opacity of the serigraphy, the colors of the fall reflection of the facade side by side to the television. Fantastic. So that is like a haiku, a Japanese haiku, no? With 3 letters saying everything, and for free, which is important. Unbelievable. Let me finish. You have to understand, because maybe it's a little bit confusing, but all the time I have been repeating the same subjects, same keywords, same examples, same gesture with the hand. I'm an insistent person, you know? So every time you say the same. Okay, so this is again the same. So this is a film that I recommend you of the 70s, you know? The title of the film is called The Go-Between, you know? This is a film that in a fantastic moment collect, you know, 3 or 4 marvelous events, you know? The director was Roldan, a British director, basic for your learning, you have to. The script of the film was made by Harold Pinter, who was Literature Nobel Award in 2005. You know? The actress was Julie Christie, you know, you have to show her, okay? And the actor, if you prefer, was Alan Bell. You know? The history is the next one, and then I will finish. This is a history that is happening in the countryside of Britain at the beginning of the century. The history describes the forbidden relationship between a woman of a higher social class and a man of a lower social class. You know? So this is the law between this person in a context where they cannot express their love and their relation openly because, you know, the social conditions. Okay. The only way that these 2 persons can communicate all over the film is because this boy is spending the summer holidays at the house of the woman. You know? So he is friend of one of the boys of the family, and he has spent the summertime holiday there. So the lovers use him to send love letters between each other. It was impossible to visit, so they gave him the letter and they ran from one set to the big palace to the farm of the boy. You know, what is the good story of this? The good story is that supposedly the child, which has not the age to fully understand what was happening, you know, was supposedly the most innocent one. But in fact, was he who was traveling from one set to the other, who had the perspective to understand what was happening. So the fact that he was not in any one of the extremes, but traveling constantly between the extremes, give him the better perspective. Okay? So, to finish, please be a go-betweener. Okay? This is the subject. Okay? Thank you very much.
Stay and ask any questions for Miguel. Now is the moment. Would you like to give a questions? No?